Welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's next Super Stock live stream, September 30th, 2021. We are back with VSBLTY Groupe, VSBGF over the counter. And as always, our goal is to bring you those stocks which have 10x to 100x upside potential. And VSBLTY is definitely one of those. So again, we're looking for companies which have three things going. One, addressing massive multi-billion-dollar market opportunities. Two, they are at a key inflection point. And three, there are multiple catalysts in place that could ignite share price increases in the short term. We've already had 7-8 stocks that are up between 10x and 50x, and hopefully VSB is going to become our 8th or 9th 10 bagger of 2021. So with that said, Jay, we're going to do a quick show and tell.
Yeah.
Of the big VSB opportunity. I'm going to disappear. I'm going to come back, and then we're going to open up for Q&A. Is that good?
Yeah, that's fine. I've got maybe 4 topics I want to cover, and I'll cover them as quickly as I can, perhaps 3 minutes. Okay, so I've been getting a lot of questions of what exactly is store as a medium. Just as a quick aside, this may sound slightly cryptic, but we are now advancing this concept and idea with multiple partners. I think people that have followed the company know that we've been a close partner with Intel for quite a while. But what's next on the agenda for us in terms of next strategic step is this concept and idea is now moving into a consortium of companies that is really going to be pushing it and leading the process of this idea. I'm going to let this play really quickly. Like I said, some of you have seen this before, but it really does underline and really emphasize the value of the store as a media channel. And really, we're seeing that right here in Modelorama, right in Mexico. Some of the things that we are talking about as an organization is why is it having the impact? And of course, it has multiple modalities and disciplines to that response. But the principal and at least initial response is that it incorporates enormous data and lift. You sell more product and you learn more about the consumer engagement. As we learn more about consumer engagement as an industry, we're going to be able to curate or optimize the store location. Just really quickly, I'm going to rewind really quickly, so I want to speak to this. Multiple activation types, all of which were traditionally analog, non-digital, now becoming digital. This is an end cap. That's a kiosk. This is a cooler door. There'll be more on that later. And then we have the unique proprietary components of visibility that have the location-based or proximity-based advertising. This is an example of a live mobile. People were asking me, okay, what does it look like? What's an actual installation like? They're small. In Canadian speak, they're about I don't know where my internet went. My apologies. In Canadian speak, they're about 10 meters square, maybe as much as 15. And so there are very few specific products in that. And it's mostly beverage, confectionery, snacks, that sort of thing. But we're measuring all components of the consumer engagement, where they go in the store, what they interact with in the store, how long they interact. You can see on the right-hand side, this is a cooler engagement. This happens to be a Modelorama in Mexico City. Person is now incented to make an impulse buy or a buy that they had intended to make. I'll show you the impulse in just a moment. The lift, as we just described, and all the time we're measuring demographic information and dwell information, gaze information as to where this particular consumer is looking and what product she's engaged with. There's a digital display, and you'll see just above that display a camera, upper left. That camera is measuring all the movements of the person, as you can see here, and connecting it. And I'm going to stop this for a moment. Back up 1 second. The metrics on the left side is the money shot. This is what advertisers are interested in, and they've never had it before. They've had it and are routinely used to getting it on the internet when they buy internet impressions. They do not get it on in-store. Sorry, I just had a glitch on my, there you go. She's now seeing a display on that display, and now she's being impacted by an impulse buy. She's being directed by the impresario to, okay, the product you just saw on the screen is right there. Now we're selling products specifically because the digital display is prompting an impulse buy and measuring the entire experience. What I'm moving into quickly here is a specific marketing piece we've done with Embera, which, as a reminder, is the largest manufacturer of coolers in the world. We're now very much inflected into this business. You're going to see some revenue in Q3 connected to this, and more significant revenue in Q4 as we're really beginning to dig in with some major customers. It's unique because it is capable of full transparency as if it were glass, and then in a second go to complete opaque and display, almost like a television would be. What's relevant about that is its capability on the transparency is critically important because brand people want you to see their brand. And if it's being obfuscated by advertising, they don't like that. Now you can see the brand whilst also seeing the advertising, and that's what's critical about this. This is proprietary technology that was recently patented. We share this and combine this with a South African company with whom we have a strong working relationship, and the combined product is really pretty fascinating and quite significant. I'm going to mention this really quickly because this is actually an award-winning grocery terminology end cap, end of an aisle. It is digital, interactive. It's got the ability to do QR codes. It's got cameras, and it has what you might call situational awareness. It knows which which zip code it's in, and it automatically pulls down from the internet the pollen count in that area. And you can imagine that's just a unique sort of gimmicky example of how we're merging IoT or the internet information with what's happening in store. An analysis here really quickly is what we're doing for how we measure visitors and impressions. This is a much longer conversation, so I'm going to skip it for the time being and move directly to what we're doing on the weapons side. This is a specific demo that we did for a large PD, police department, where we're actually doing facial recognition at the same time as weapons detection. We do it inside, and what you'll see is we'll see classifications of the type of weapon, long gun or handgun, and POI and identification. This would obviously be plucking this person out of a database if they match the database. Here's the really important piece, and I'm going to stop it for just a moment. We're doing multiple things here. On the bottom of this, as you see those bubbles, we're doing a weapons detection alert. We're connecting that to a dashboard. Gosh, my screen just went again. We're connecting that to a dashboard. We're doing a security assessment, and we're mapping the movements of the shooter geospatially within the building. The red is where the shooter is. The teal is where the shooter was. That's critically important because police, when they arrive, want to know where the shooter is geospatially. If he's on the east wing, they'll go to the east wing. If he's on the west wing, they'll go there. And why this is important is the tragedy at Parklawn, which we all remember quite well. 90% of the students who died bled out. They bled out because the police couldn't enter or wouldn't enter the building because they didn't know where the shooter was. So if you're talking about AI with camera technology and weapons detection, you can not only identify where the shooter is, but more importantly, where he is not. And so if the shooter's in the east wing, you can evacuate the west wing. And we're getting enormous momentum on this right now. We're participating in a large event at the end of this month where we're displaying this, and this will be the title demo.
Jay, we lost your screen share.
Oh, I ended the screen share.
Oh, you ended.
At the end, yeah.
That's it? We're done with the screen?
Yeah, I moved quickly because I did want to leave time for questions, and by my clock, we only have 8 minutes left, so I wanted to be brief.
Jay, listen, Jay, for you, we have all the time in the world. We got a lot of questions to address here, a ton of questions. Okay, so I'm glad the internet is good here. All right, so, okay, I got a bunch of questions. Let me start from the top. I'm going to start with the audience questions, and then I'll ask a couple of questions that I have. Okay, this is the key question. The installs, you're in Mexico right now, right? So this is what's going on with how is the installation going? How many do you have right now?
I attended a board meeting on Tuesday, a long one, for the joint venture. The joint venture, for a reminder, is VSBLTY. It's our local Mexican partner, Retelligent, and it's Anheuser-Busch. And it was a lengthy board meeting, and it was really productive. And they are saying, AB InBev is saying that they're requiring us or urging us not to speak about the cadence until we're at December, because there are competitive forces, not only here in Mexico, principally in Mexico, but elsewhere as well, that they want to get far enough in front of that there's no emulation opportunity. And while that's difficult for me as a public company CEO, I have to take a balanced approach to this. I don't want to disrupt the apple cart, as it were. I can say this, though. Our cadence initially described as 5,000 by the end of this year. We still believe we can make that objective, and we're very comfortable with the pace at which we're going at the moment. I have to confess that the first couple of months, because of supply chain and training up Tech Mahindra, were difficult. But Tech Mahindra put a bunch of labor on this thing, and I was actually at their facility yesterday, and I'm really delighted that we're now moving at an install pace that's about 100 to 150 a week, which is spectacular as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, so that's okay. So that's about on pace, and it's gonna pick up from there also.
It will.
Okay.
That install pace I gave you was Mexico. It's different in Peru, Colombia, and Ecuador, where the other installations are occurring. But Mexico's got the greatest velocity at the moment, and the greatest media market, frankly.
It's funny. Pretty much we've just been talking about Mexico, but really, so you're in 4 other countries, 3 other. How many other countries are you in right now doing this?
We're in 4, and though I can't disclose the 5th, there's a 5th coming fast, and it was the topic of a good chunk of our Tuesday meetings.
Okay, so just to repeat again, the countries you're now besides Mexico, you got Mexico,
Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, Mexico.
Okay, so and expanding, and this is just the deal with one group. Okay.
By the first quarter of 2022, we will be the largest in-store media network in Latin America.
And again,
so rapid growth.
Okay, and okay, so Jay, this is I think this is very important because the largest in-store media network has that position has a market value. What is that worth dollar-wise? For somebody to be able to buy that.
I don't think of it that way. I'm not rejecting the notion or the idea. I just don't think of it that way. What I think of is at 5,000 stores, our license revenue is about $100,000 a month. But the media value is 20x that. At least
2 million a month.
At least. That's we've got a rate card that starts at low. It's got a range, right? And at the low end of that, that's where that is. And our participation in that media revenue is 30%. So this thing is growing and growing.
Profit. It's almost pure profit.
Well, you've already built the infrastructure, right? So it's like you built a highway, and then every car that runs on that highway basically runs without any specific expense connected to its construction. And it's really the same idea.
Right. It's almost like a royalty, essentially. And you're basically getting a third of the ad spend. It's like a royalty.
So this week was not dedicated to managing all the process of building the network. That seems to be underway. And though it might have been bumpy in April, May, we've sorted through that with the alignment with Tech Mahindra. This week was about optimizing media, making this known and aware in the media space. And that's why I'm sort of characterizing the week as phenomenally successful. We've got some enormous opportunities for some significant strategic connections. We've got global initiatives underway as well that are complementary to that in terms of valuing the media that we're building. And I'm really excited about the prospects of potentially just blowing it out of the park on the media side.
Okay, Jay, by the way, the demo you did with the cooler, we got questions related to it. It's amazing. It's really amazing stuff. We haven't seen that is some really incredible stuff, and also the location-based thing. It's funny, I think it was for Claritin or something, for pollen or whatever it is. So you talked about it before, but now you actually, when you show it, so people can see how this works in a pharmacy, it's incredible. It's so there's display, a pollen count increase in this county, and all of a sudden, Claritin, the maker of Claritin, they're able to market ads wherever there's an increase of pollen or flu goes, whatever that is, the weather or whatever.
As he impacted by impulse desires. And if I'm reminded when in a drugstore that I have allergies and oh my gosh, the allergy or pollen is going up, I better buy. And it's a $32 average ticket. It's got enormous impact. It's got a 30% lift. It's significant. So we're not talking. And when we did this with Moet Hennessy, this is back in 2017, we were selling $100 bottles of champagne on an interactive surface. The lift was 28%. They won awards for it. And that's an average ticket of $100. So this works. I mean, it has enormous impact, and not to mention, as we've discussed before, all of the value of the data, which for the moment we don't even have to talk about. We're talking about the lift, the actual velocity, sales velocity.
Yeah. Okay. Next time we have to get you back on and really spend time with it, because the video stuff was amazing. I want to see if we can address as many questions as possible.
Sure.
Okay. So it is currently the retailer trade show with Sensormatic. Can you briefly explain how integrated VSBY software into Sensormatic environment will increase sales? So this guy, I think he's in Germany. It's kind of German English. I don't know if you can understand.
Yeah.
Okay,
English.
Okay. English. Yeah.
So Sensormatic is in the last, last day of its fiscal year today, and we've been spending all the time in the last several months training up multiple Tiger teams within Sensormatic to achieve the following vision. The store is a repository of data. Sensormatic is the world leader in anti-theft solutions, loss prevention solutions for stores, for retail. They're the biggest provider for retail solutions. But metrics around loss prevention are only one metric that are gathered up in stores. Think of consumer engagement, point of sale, customer journey, inventory management. All those are other data sets. The relationship that we've carved within Sensormatic and that they've recently reinvigorated because they brought us into more business units is to achieve the concept of the store with multiple moving parts, both customer facing, both offense, if you will, and defense, operating, inventory management, loss prevention, consumer engagement, all that built together with computer vision for a view of the store in real time across a scale of stores. That's the Sensormatic vision, and why we're so optimistic about our work with them. Probably our first large deal will happen with them in the fourth quarter of this year, the first quarter of their next year.
Okay, here comes a interesting question. Jay, what potential do you see for the Onyx glass? Has this gained traction? This is the thing you were just showing, right? That's the cooler.
Well, I'll break it down for you. The Onyx glass is the actual glass that is able to be retrofitted into existing coolers. That retrofit's important, or deployed in brand new coolers. So that's the hardware piece. We augment it by our content management system and our computer vision to make it a complete experience. Now, the market addressability. I'll just give you some simple stats. Our close friends at Anheuser-Busch have 60,000 coolers in the small country of Ecuador on the balance sheet. Our friends at Coca-Cola have 21 million coolers on the balance sheet in the USA. These guys,
they own it?
They own it. The asset is owned by them.
They own these coolers.
Not a lot of people know this. So what they do is they merchandise these coolers. And merchandise is just a sexy way of saying they highlight them, they run programs on them, they wrap them with their colors, all that sort of thing. So the innovation of the innovation of transparent coolers in that space allows them to merchandise with interactive digital, which is mind-blowing to them. They know it works in terms of velocity. I've mentioned the metrics before. And now they've got ability to deliver bespoke custom messaging at the point of sale. So what is the addressable market? Well, there's probably 50 million coolers in North America and South America that are owned by multiple beverage companies. So what's the addressable market? 5%, 10%? I can tell you that the single biggest billings impact for us in Q4 will be cooler.
Okay, yeah, I wish we could show that video again with the coolers. I don't know if you can skip, because just for the thing later.
I have the ability
just to basically get this into people's heads, because I never saw that before. The demo you did just now, I haven't seen before. It's pretty cool. Wait,
it's fresh.
So fresh. That's the word that's what the kids say, right? Is that
that's what the creator? Yeah, fresh.
So okay, so basically, right now the coolers that I've seen, like the Coca-Cola, they're kind of wrap. It's like a vinyl wrap or something they might have. It's like, that's it.
Well, they're non-digital. They're not sexy. They're not digital.
So you can retrofit. You can retrofit those coolers with this glass. How much? How do you monitor? How will you make money with these coolers? Then you're going to monetize. How are you going to do that?
Well, we are the only company that Onyx is selling this with. We've got a locked-in relationship that it's exclusive in nature. We're expanding that locked-in relationship to Embera and one other cooler manufacturer that I can't yet name at the moment. But our go-to-market is If you want to do transparent cooler, as opposed to a film that goes on top of the cooler that might be digital that you can't see through, and there is technology like that out there, but it's not ours, and it's vastly inferior because you can't see through it. The best way to piss off a product guy is to make his packaging not visible by the consumer. That's the best way to get on the wrong side of that guy. So our go-to-market is to deploy these coolers, generally and initially large beverage players, alcoholic and non-alcoholic, will buy these. Instead of buying analog coolers, they'll buy digital coolers. They might initially buy 100, 500, 1,000, but the opportunity for this category is enormous, just based upon the metrics I've given you.
How much? Okay, so give us the numbers. Okay, so when you retrofit, right? So let's say you sell them a piece of glass, whatever it is, right? How much do you sell it for? How do you make? What's the recurring revenue and everything else?
This is the brilliance of my team, and I have to give the credit to the team. We sell the cooler solutions both as a capex, $4,000 with an ongoing SaaS fee of $50 a month,
yeah,
or as a cooler as a service.
Aha.
So instead of buying the cooler, you lease the cooler, and it's $200 a month, and everything's in.
$200 a month for the glass, basically.
No, the whole thing, including the cooler.
Oh, you give them the cooler also.
Well,
okay.
If you want to retrofit, we'll do that as well. 150, 175. But if you want the cooler, it's 200 to 250, just depending upon the country.
So $200 cooler as a service. And okay, so I guess you have a financing partner to pay for the whole thing.
No, we have the largest cooler manufacturer on the planet. We don't need a financing partner.
So they're paying for it, basically. They're paying for it.
This is on their books.
It's on their books. Okay, so they have it figured out. So it's nothing to do with you. Okay. And how much do you get from that? $200.
We get our licensing fees. And we source the hardware. We upcharge the hardware as part of the supply chain.
Okay, so a month, how much of that $200 are going into your pocket?
A quarter of it.
That's pretty good. $50 per cooler.
We're really happy with
that. And there's 50 million coolers out there that they own these coolers.
In our immediate pipeline, there's 50,000 coolers.
Wow. And this is, by the way, this is pure profit, essentially. This $50 a month is pure profit.
The 50 is, the hardware runs at about a 35% gross margin.
Okay. Okay. So the numbers are really, there's some significant numbers. You really have there's multiple like opportunities inside of VSBLTY. Like you got multiple things. You got the cooler as a service thing, which is rolling out. You got the store, the end cap stuff. Really, this is the transformation of retail.
On the retail side, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. On the retail side, think of us as the guys and gals that are building solutions that are digitizing retail. Kiosk solutions, end cap solutions, in-shelf solutions, refrigerator solutions, freezer solutions. All of those are ours. We happen to ride on hardware, but our win is not only the delivery of really cool, sexy content, but the measurement of that content as well. And now we're doing predictive modeling around it, all the AI that we do around it. That's just, Jack, the retail side of our business. I would argue the security business has equal and potentially superior opportunity.
And it's funny, every time we talk, the next live stream we're going to focus on the security, because the security thing could be integrated. It's, again, you have multiple modules people can use in different markets. In Mexico, they like the security thing. It's important. But I think on the next live stream, we're going to spend time focusing on that side.
Sure.
So let's see if we can get to a couple more questions.
Sure.
Okay, so hopefully we can get a few. Okay, WPP. Jay, can you WPP connection?
I really can't go too deep into it at the moment, but I can just say that we've been working with them on.
That's the biggest ad agency in the world, WPP. One of the biggest, right?
They're not only large, but enormously influential. And the second part to me is just as valuable as the first part. We're connected at the very highest levels of the organization. We're doing collaborative work together. We have specific projects we're working on, and we're working on something a little bit more formal between the two organizations.
It's interesting because that's the origins of the WPP originally. I think the guy who started, he originally started with a display item for in stores, like on baskets.
Yeah, really. I'm not surprised.
So the DNA. So you actually are a good fit because they were an in-store media in the UK or whatever back in the 80s, whatever. Okay, so great question from Vale. Can you talk about your patents?
So there's patents on the Onyx side that covers the glass and how the glass is built, how the actuator is done. An actuator would be the trigger between transparent and non-transparent. And so that whole area, we have 2 other patents. One of them is connected to vending, has to do with how we display in the vending world. And the third, which is still in a pending status, I'm not sure if people on the phone know this, but the U.S. Patent Trade Office is working on the 2016 file at the moment, so they're just a little bit behind. But we are here. In fact, I heard from our patent lawyer this morning that we're the last patent, which is connected to where people are in proximity to display, governs what is displayed. Who people are with reference to where they are with respect to display governs what's displayed. So an example would be a 45-year-old man shows up, we play content relevant to a 45-year-old man. If a 25-year-old female shows up, we play content relevant to it. And so all of that is covered in the patent. If we granted that patent, which looks like it will happen, it should happen in the January, February time frame. And you know, it's I can point to several breaches already that would allow us to sort of do that if we were willing and desiring to go that route.
Okay. Oh, wow. So we got a bunch of questions just came in. Okay. Hang on a second. Let me just. I thought we only had a few. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna be running a little bit over time. So just hopefully we can get everything addressed here. Okay. Skippy is asking, will these cooler doors look too much like Thomas? Is it gonna be? Could it be too much? I don't know.
Yeah, it could be too much. Absolutely. Really? Absolutely, it could. So we have to be very conscious about affecting the consumer in a negative way. Skippy, as a reminder, we measure sentiment. So if you don't like what you're seeing, we can tell you don't like what you're seeing.
Oh, so right. Okay. Oh, you can tone it down. You can dial down the craziness.
We can dial it down. I can tell you that no retailer or brand is going to want to light up like Las Vegas Strip, the entire area. But I can see every other door. I can see a suite of 3 doors. We've seen a lot of that, where you can run a cross-panel activation, maybe a large globe that would cover all 3. And, you know, it's the idea here is we're trying to, what they call in our business, disrupt the path to purchase. If I can disrupt you, if I can slow you down, I can impact you via impulse. And that's the idea.
Okay. So, and apparently also, because again, this is based, you can do the displays based on time of day. Maybe you might want to tone it down for late at night or whatever, or different locations, or
right.
Depends on what's happening, whether, okay. What catalyst can we see in October?
So that's 30 days out. We've got some enormously important partnerships that we're doing on the agency side that are on a sort of final glide path. We have a national rollout with a large beverage company, which will be announced probably in October. It's already underway. Those are 2 important things in October. We've got an initiative that will be announced in the critical infrastructure space, which will be 5 years long and kind of an important reference account for us as we move forward. So those are 3 events in October that I think will be exciting for the organization. Oh, and I should mention that we're in the middle of closing Q3 right now, and I'm extremely happy with what I'm seeing, and I think the shareholders will be as well.
Okay. Interesting, because so last quarter, just to remind people, so last quarter you were up. Okay, so basically the bookings were 4 million and change, right? 4 million and change, which is 165% increase over the previous quarter. So quarter-over-quarter growth. In the bookings, that's the future revenue. So that's a roughly, let's call it a $16 million, $17 million run rate. That's where you were at 3 months ago. You could be higher that's what you reported based on 3 months. So
right.
You might be higher than that right now, right? Could be.
We could be, yep.
Could be. Okay, we're not saying anything, but okay. Okay, so Bob is asking, okay, so this is the thing that you talked about last time. Now, this could be huge. You haven't talked about it too much. This is the Austin GIS, which is the infrastructure as a service. You're a little bit cryptic about what this is. We talked about the partners. You have some huge partners, which is Tech Mahindra, this other company. What's the Indian company, the Tech, HCL, right? And now people are saying, somebody's saying that the other partners, which you did not say who they were, but they are saying that it's Intel and Ability. Will you confirm or deny?
Well, I don't think he's asking me to. Hopefully he's not asking me to. You know what? When you do business with these big companies, they give you guardrails. I mean, I sat through a meeting on Tuesday where I was given guardrails. and I don't like them. But on balance, I'm not prepared to disrupt the partnership in a way that might appear to be cowboy just because it allows me to message to the street in a more transparent way. I'm desirous of doing that, and I'll do it whenever I can do it. But I'm not going to risk the commercial progress just to do that. And on the Intel side, I am not confirming or denying that Austin GIS has Intel as an equity partner, but we've had a long relationship with them, and that kind of makes sense. But they will disclose in their time. And just a reminder of who the three other partners are: Radar App, which is our Mexican partner, small like VSBLTY, HCL, a $20 billion market cap company, and Tech Mahindra, a $52 billion market cap company. So these are enormous companies. And of course, for us, what they solve each in their own right is the ability to deliver. They are delivery rails for us. Tech Mahindra on the retail side, HCL on the security side, both of them in 100+ countries. Sorry,
okay.
Go ahead.
And one thing you talked about last time, which is this infrastructure as a service. It's basically this is going to launch. You're saying it's going to show some significant revenues this year, right?
This quarter we're about to enter. Yes.
Okay, so this is already. Can you talk about what they're doing though? Can you talk about the service?
Well, they have three primary services, and more will be added later.
Okay.
Retail analytics as a service. Anybody on this web stream will probably understand who the software is underneath that offering. Security, surveillance as a service. That's VSBLTY and Radar App combined together, just like we did in Mexico City. And the third one is 5G as a service. There will be others. They're interested in energy. They're interested in utilities. We're bringing to them some opportunities with critical infrastructure. So what their reason for living is, they bring financial weight to the conversation. They have a $60 to $100 million ability to loan against long-term contracts. So their hunting requirements are the deal's got to be 200 million or bigger, and it's got to be 5 years of length, and it generates revenue by way of infrastructure as a service. So if you take the VSBLTY piece, the Radar App piece, and all the other pieces together, combine them under a single CapEx, they take that CapEx and turn it into an OpEx. That's what Austin GIS does.
It's like, I think, what is it? Brookfield. You were working with Brookfield? I think
Brookfield, Macquarie out of Australia that does this with large public infrastructure. It's a good model.
Okay. So very interesting. Okay, so there's some interesting things in the works. I guess you're not really giving us details. I guess the details will emerge in the next month or two of what this.
I won't put anything at risk in for the sake of transparency. I just can't at the moment.
Okay. Okay. ABI. Do you think? Okay. Are we going to see those coolers in the U.S.?
My guess would be yes. I'm not speaking about a specific project I'm aware of, cryptically, but my guess would be yes. The first adopter of the first version of this product, which was vastly different in a lot of ways, back in 2015, was ABI. So they've already shown in this is before there was computer vision. This is before there was edge computing. This is before a lot of the components that are now part of the offering. And they showed interest in that. I think they bought 2,000 of them at the time. So I would imagine that we'll see that happening. I can tell you that particular customer on the Latin American side is very interested.
Okay. Interesting question. Somebody like Pat, if you're doing these disco coolers, does it take up more electricity?
I'm going to write the disco coolers down and share that with our marketing department. So LCD panels, comparatively speaking, I mean, a cooler has a compressor in it. You want to talk about the power hog in a cooler, it's the compressor.
Okay.
So we're only adding about 5 to 8% power to that, and because it's LCD and it's a high efficiency LCD, and in the case that we're retrofitting, they've already got power consumption from the compressor, and we're just adding to that. So it has not ever come up as a significant barrier for sales.
Okay. Jay, we're really completely out of time. So we're gonna have to catch up with you next time. I want to really spend time on one of these. We're gonna pick one of these things, maybe either the infrastructure or the security side. We're a demo of the coolers, but we're gonna do one of those things. But I think we picked up some good things. One thing I just did want to mention is you added to your board of directors.
Oh,
former
yeah.
Sensormatic guy, which I
Yeah.
think is a very compelling, which we didn't really
Yeah.
bring up, but that's big.
Yeah, I'm in his unbelievable strategic mind, and he's
What is he
already
gonna
at
be
work.
doing? Yeah, what is he going to be doing for you?
Well, he's sitting on the board, so he's got a fiduciary and governance requirement, clearly. But I brought him in to be sort of a working guy. And so he's going to help me directly work with me on strategic items. My job is to look 6 to 12 months out. We're a small company in a universe crowded with large players, so we need to think better than them, or certainly equally as good as them. And we need to execute better than them. So Amin is here to help me, having the pedigree that he has, which includes HP Retail, Sensormatic. He's a very solid strategic mind, and he'll help us craft the strategy.
What did he do at Sensormatic that's like directly applicable to what you're doing? Like, how is it? Like, what's the fit there? Because it sounds like there's some sort of strategic fit.
He was responsible for crafting our role inside of Sensormatic, and then laying down the execution rails to make that happen. But he's also responsible for all M&A, not only at Sensormatic, but some of the JCI stuff as well. So if you're responsible for M&A, you need to have a strategic mind, because you need to know where the product fits, right? A lot of M&A due diligence is not necessarily balance sheet, it's product fit, right? And so he is extremely technical. He's an engineer, and he provides me enormous. In fact, I've spoken to him twice since he's joined for lengthy amounts of time on specific strategic items I needed his consult with.
Okay, Jay. Thank you. We're gonna catch up with you in a few weeks,
Great.
and we'll do more demos. We gotta
all right,
do
wonderful.
more of these demos. These are phenomenal. Thank you again.
All right, Jack. Thank you.
Okay.